been some of your observations that you have seen? How is industry basically collaborating with you? Like, how has been your journey?
So this is a big, broad topic, and Vishal, we can go in so many directions. But what I'll do is I'd like to almost share a timeline of trends that I've seen play out over the last few years. Is the first trend is very much that people were subconsciously, it wasn't something that they were doing at a conscious level, dependent on physical workspaces to create a lot of their culture. Okay. So if you think about the painstaking effort that an interior architect and interior designers and, construction firms take in terms of planning a physical office space, they're very deliberate about where the kitchen is in relation to the restroom, where meeting rooms are in terms of how light flows into them, all of those type of factors. And we go into these workspaces and we don't realize how they actually impact our collective behavior as a group of humans. And we don't take into account how they impact how we actually get work done. And if you look at like how over the past 2 years, we've been shoved into this very real new reality of virtual work, where the spaces that we're working in haven't actually been architected for optimal work. They're just the tools that happen to be there and that we now use to collaborate. This is where companies are going through this major change, is they're having to completely re-architect their culture because the building no longer dictates that culture. The building no longer gets people to move and work in a certain way without us even thinking about it. And that's why you're seeing like huge things like Zoom fatigue, Teams fatigue, because these spaces haven't been architected for mass use over prolonged periods of time the way buildings have. And if you think about how architecture has evolved and perfected the art of work, we've got a long way to go in the architecture and design of digital work tools. So that's the first trend that I'd like to call out. The second trend that I'd like to call out is what I call chaos theory. It's something that I've actually dedicated a lot of time to reading about and wrapping my head around and, collaborating with researchers around, is that if you look at the scientific concept of chaos, okay, it's something that we don't like. We hear the word chaos and we push back against it. We don't want to engage with it. We want to organize it. We want to structure it. We want to put it in a box. But the reality is that if you actually look at the scientific theory of what is chaos, it's a highly structured, highly organized network. And it just has millions and millions of nodes. And each one of those nodes are all connected and they're all undergoing these micro changes. And so chaos feels chaotic, but it actually isn't chaotic at all in terms of how we innately understand and feel chaos. And that is what you see companies and specifically leaders as a whole are grappling with right now, is how do we re-architect our workplaces to actually get comfortable in chaos? Because we're an interconnected world. Each worker, each employee is one of these nodes in this huge fabric of interconnected, moving, changing parts. And it's a lot. It's a lot to handle. It's a mental overload that humans have never had to deal with before. And so I'd say those are two of the, I'm talking macro trends here. You know what I mean? We can go into like a lot of micro trends and I'm very happy for the conversation to go there. But I think those are the two major macro trends right now that are really shaping what's happening in the world of work today.